Welcome to Oddball. I'm Charlotte Wilder, still in my parents' basement. Haven't left since yesterday. Slept here, ate here. Just kidding. I went upstairs. Amin, where are you? Because you've been all over the country in the past, 36 hours?
Sure. I don't even know what time is anymore. I'm in Miami, Charlotte. I'm in Miami, Florida. Yeah, I did Le Batard show today.
Wow.
And because my child graduated yesterday and I had to go to the graduation ceremony, I missed the second half of Wolves Mavericks. Now, I did see the first half. I saw Kyrie Irving killing, getting to the paint, hitting floaters. I do know that the Mavs ended up shooting really poorly from three, and a birdie told me that the Wolves were the first to reach 100 points, which, according to Lawler's Law, means they had the best chance to win the game. So, great win by the T-Wolves.
Wait, no. I mean, the Timberwolves lost. The Dallas Mavericks won, and it was close, though. It was close. 108 to 105. And funny enough, I actually, first of all, congrats to your child. I had to go to an event for my mom, so congrats to my mom, which means that I watched the second half. So between the two of us, we watched a full basketball game, which for a basketball show, I think is pretty good.
There you go. We've got it from here, folks. It's real easy. So this is what happened. Kyrie Irving is the absolute reason for winning this game. I don't even need to know what happened in the second half, because in the first half, he was able to take advantage of Minnesota's drop coverage. I don't know why you would play drop coverage against one of the great shot makers from all over the floor. And Kyrie went nuts over there. And by the way, he went nuts because why does that say game one in Minnie like it's Minnie Mouse?
Wait, Minnie?
Yeah, the lower third.
Isn't it Minny?
Why? Minnie.
Production,
M-I-N-N-Y.
why did you put that there?
Okay, it says here in the prompter that our graphics guy named Chance, who's right there with a Marbury jersey on, is from Minnesota and insists the correct abbreviation is Minnie, N-I-E, not Minnie, N-Y. And Chance, allow me to tell you, honestly, thank you for all of the great hard work you do. We really appreciate you. You do an excellent job. But also, sit down and shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. And nobody cares. Nobody cares, Chance.
That's so mean. No.
Chance,
I'm taking your word for it, and thank you for your hard work. And stand up and, well, you weren't talking, but
no, Charlotte. Because I'll tell you this: we used to go to the Bay for the finals every year when the Warriors were good, and we would say we're going to Frisco, and all the locals are like, don't call it Frisco, don't call it Frisco. We don't call it that. And I said, you know what? I don't care. We call it that. Sincerely, the rest of the world. And so rest of the world spells it NY. That's how we're spelling it.
I have never once in my life said I'm going to Frisco. It sounds like a brand of cat food.
You've never said going to Frisco? You must have never been to Frisco then.
I have. I say San Fran.
San Jose? Is that where you're going?
Anyway, let's talk about Luka. The second half that I watched, Luka was huge. He led Dallas in scoring with 33 points, and 15 of those, were in the fourth quarter. And I just feel like Luka is perhaps the oldest soul in the NBA for a guy who's 25. I feel like he moves like someone who is older. He has a dad bod in the way that, there's a weariness to Luka that I respect, that I think adds to his game. And also, clearly, our producers wrote this because it says, I don't trust someone who is ripped. Do you agree that Luka seems older than he is?
What are we doing here? Yeah, because he's in terrible shape. He's a great player, and it's testament to his greatness. He's able to do these things while being in terrible shape for an NBA player. But he's in terrible shape for an NBA player. Like, let's be real here, man. We killed Carmelo Anthony for all that baby fat he had on him for years and years. Like, we're not gonna just, it's so cool. This is actually better than having someone who's in peak physical condition. No, that's the whole point of this thing, is that they're in peak physical condition. Oh. Every time an NBA player takes off a shirt and looks like me with no shirt on, that's a problem. That is a problem.
Okay, well, someone who does not have a dad bod is Kyrie Irving. And can we play what Luka said about Kyrie?
He probably would be down 20 if he wouldn't score that many points. So I appreciate him keeping us in the game.
Yeah, he had 24 points on 14 shots in the first half. And this is after him. I believe he hadn't scored double digits in the first half of any game in these playoffs. In the OKC series, he averaged 14 shots a game, did not score over 22 points in any one game. He finished his game with 30 points on 12 of 23 shooting, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. And again, I think it goes to Kyrie being able to adjust to what's needed, which I don't know earlier in his career, was that a mentality he could have had or embraced? He's certainly embracing it. But the other thing also, Charlotte, that he came out ripping and roaring. Yes, it's because they needed it. But you can't tell me it ain't partly because Anthony Edwards was talking all that shit. This is what Kyrie had to say with Charles Barkley after the game.
You at home minding your business the other night, and then the young fella says, I got Kyrie. So, and you said, excuse me? That's the most aggressive you've been in a long time.
Yes, sir.
I know that had to irk you a little bit.
Use it as a motivation.
Okay, I mean, I don't know that I've ever seen Kyrie smile so much. I think that the last few hits he's done on TV, he has smiled more than he smiled in his first however many years in the league. And we'll talk about that in a second, but I love that he admitted it, because I feel like sometimes guys are like, oh no, like I would have done that anyway. And Kyrie just sort of started laughing. And honestly, like that would work for me. If someone said, oh, I got Charlotte, I'd be like, no, you don't. You just don't.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very direct call out, and part of it is why we love Anthony Edwards, right? We love this character who's fearless and isn't afraid to say the things that I think a lot of players think. I don't think he's the first person to say, I got Kyrie, I'm going to lock his ass up. He's not the first person to do that. He's also not the first person to get torched, but he did say it out loud, and there's a respect level there. But also, yeah, that's Kyrie Irving, man. That dude's not like, he's like, oh no, what am I gonna do? Anthony Edwards is on me. That's not how that guy's wired or thinks. So, can it be both? Kyrie might have done that anyway, but someone talked to him, and he responded in kind. Also, Charlotte, I want to point out that this is actually a consistent take from you.
Yeah.
Because when we went to I can't remember what Heat game it was earlier this year.
Oh.
It was one of those nights where they had the Heat culture court down, and on the culture court it says the toughest, meanest, all that shit that they say in their little saying thing, right?
Blah blah blah.
Yeah, hardest working team, best conditioned team in the NBA. And Charlotte said, "You know what? Not that I need extra motivation, but if I was another team and I walked in here and I read that, I'd be like, oh yeah, let's see who's the nastiest."
Oh yeah, I was like, I feel like the Heat think this is motivating them. But if I were another team coming in there, that would absolutely fire me up. But I would never publicly say that either. So now I guess I am publicly saying it, but also I'm not a professional basketball player. I think what's happening with Kyrie has been pretty cool this year. I think, as you said, he has adjusted, and that was something that he was famously not good at. And there's a maturity that has been there that I think has been exciting to see, because it's translated to his play on the court. You know, any off-court stuff aside, he's had this sort of renaissance in Dallas. And on the flip side of that, you know, the flip side of Kyrie's experience is the Timberwolves' inexperience. And I wonder, I mean, do you think that this game could have been where some of that started to show, or is it just that they're coming off of Game 7 and they're exhausted, or both? Like, what is your read on the Minnie of it all?
I Minnie with an NY. I just thought it was like, there's the emotional draining of, we just got done with this gruesome 7-game series. We pulled off the biggest comeback in Game 7 history to beat the defending champs on the road at altitude. Yeah. And it's like, now you got to turn around and be invigorated also. The other part of it is people talk about Anthony Edwards looking tired. And I got to quote the great motion picture Airplane,
which I have seen.
You have seen. Okay, so you remember when the little kid's in the cockpit and tells Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, like, my dad thinks that you're lazy. Yeah. You only try in there in the playoffs. And he says, hey, you tell your old man to drag Lanier and Walton up the floor for 48 minutes and then talk to me about how much energy he has. Same thing here. It's like, you guard Kyrie Irving as he's doing all that shit, and then you have enough energy to have an amazing offensive game on the other end. You can't do it all. And so there's a part of it where I think there's the emotional kind of come down from Game 7. Mm-hmm. And then there's also, man, I had to guard this incredibly unguardable guy, and I'm also expected to carry the offense for this team. I can't do it all.
Right. So what changes in game 2? And for people out there who might not know what drop coverage is, can you just say what that is?
Well, I didn't even say drop coverage. I could have said they need to wear different uniforms, or maybe spell Minnie the right way.
Okay, well, let's move on. Boston, Indiana play again tonight. And I mean, you said that Boston is going to win handily, and you were trying to assuage my fears before we hopped on to record this. Why are you feeling confident? Like my fear is that the Pacers having a close game, instead of demoralizing them because they lost, they could come back and say to Boston, hey, like, they could use that as motivation, which is why I'm nervous. Also, like, Boston has lost 2 game 2s in a row. Can you either make me feel better or worse?
Well, first of all, like, it's not like they lost 17 game 2s in a row. They lost 2.
Okay.
That's not a big deal. They also lost 2 game 2s after winning game 1s handily, making it look not close. So there is an expected kind of letdown there versus game 1 that they stole basically by the skin of their teeth. But Charlotte, let me ask you this. If you're looking at, like, what if Indiana got confidence off of this? Let me ask you this. What would be more confident building? Almost winning a game or winning a game?
Winning a game.
Winning a game would be bigger confidence builder than almost winning a game. Well, in the first 2 rounds, they had an opponent who actually won a game, and still they blew them out the next 3 games afterwards. So that's the part where I'm like, I don't think Indiana now looks around and says, we have the confidence to get this job done, because there have been teams that won games and still got demolished. I just think that Boston's a better team. It's not Indiana's fault. They're just a little early.
I love it. Wow. Thanks, Amin.
Confident.
Never thought I'd say this. You made me feel a lot better. Coming up, we've got to talk about the All-NBA teams that were announced. And we have a blind ranker that we don't know because our production team is going to surprise us. So we'll see you soon.
What are we doing?
Welcome back to Oddball. The All-NBA teams were revealed. It was pretty. There were a few surprises, but let's just go through what they were. What first, second, and third. For first team, you've got Giannis, Luka, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jokic, Jason Tatum. Anything here surprising to you?
All right, so a couple of things. Number one is, because the All-NBA team is positionless, so it's not like you had to have a center or you had to have a guard. In theory, the results should mirror what the MVP ballot was. The best 5 players in the league. And obviously Jokic won MVP. He's on there, although he wasn't the number 1 or the unanimous vote getter there. We know that Luka was on the ballot. We know that SGA was on the ballot. Giannis is on the ballot. And then somehow Jason Tatum makes his way in there, even though he wasn't top 5 on the MVP ballot.
Yes.
So I ask, what gives? Why isn't my man Jalen Brunson up there, Charlotte?
So Tatum was 6th in MVP voting. Brunson was 5th.
Right.
And I don't know. I mean, I was sort of surprised, but, perhaps this is the who you're surrounded with curse when it comes to MVP, where, Steph and KD, once they were in the Warriors together, it can make people think, well, they didn't need them as much because they had these other great players, whereas Brunson, they obviously needed him. Do you think that Brunson should have been there instead of Tatum?
I think so. I thought he was, he was a catalyst for a team that was a 2 seed and that a lot of people did not have as a 2 seed. And even throughout the season, they had a lot of adversity in terms of injuries and guys missing. I think while Tatum played on the best team in the league, I don't know that he had a better season than Jalen Brunson is what I would say.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Putting all Celtics fandom aside, I think Brunson deserved to be there. He was second team along with Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, Anthony Edwards, Kawhi, and I don't know. I guess it's so hard to rank. It's so hard to rank these players in terms of like who's better first team, second team. But that's what we do in this business. How did you feel about this grouping?
Yeah, I was all right with this. You know, the real question is who didn't make any of these teams, right? Because I think it is interesting when we get by the end of this, you'll see that there are multiple players from teams that really didn't wow. And this is the part where I will make an argument for the Celtics here, right? That the fact that they had the best record in the league, Jason Tatum is their only representative, but he's not on the MVP ballot because he had too much help. Well, which one is it? Does he have too much help, and so some of their help should be all NBA with him, namely Jaylen Brown? Or is it he was so amazing, he carried this team, in which case he should have been higher on the MVP ballot? I tend to think it's the former, that Jaylen Brown should have been an all-NBA player. No, we haven't gotten a third team yet, but let's just go ahead and show the third team so that people can see basically what I'm talking about. And again, all these players are great players. We're splitting hairs here.
Yeah.
But the idea that the Lakers and the Suns would have two all-NBA representatives, nothing against KD and Durant, nothing against AD and LeBron, but you guys, if you had two all-NBA representatives, meaning not only were they good enough, but they also played enough games, then why wasn't your team good?
Yes.
And flip side, if Joe Mazzulla isn't anywhere near Coach of the Year voting, and Jason Tatum isn't good enough to be MVP, why isn't Jaylen Brown one of the all-NBA players?
Yeah, I agree with you. Also, they were both all-stars, and I think this is maybe the curse of being too good. I think sometimes there is this element of like, oh, well, they won. It's sort of a reluctance to, people might think, well, I don't want my whole ballot to be Celtics, and so they might overcompensate in the other direction. Although I really think that Jaylen Brown deserved to be there.
They're getting screwed by both ends, though. They're being told that they're too good and not good enough.
But that's what I mean.
The part that like, I think is unfair.
I think that's what's happening, and I don't think people are thinking of it in terms of like, well, it can't be one and the other. I think it's just this subconscious thing that people do.
By
Something
the way,
that was interesting.
LeBron James simultaneously, well, not simultaneously, but he was the youngest player ever to make an All-NBA team, and now he's the oldest player ever to make an All-NBA team. Very nice bookends for perhaps the greatest career ever.
Good job, LeBron. Something we have to talk about is that somebody voted for Domantas Sabonis in first place for everything. What is this? Like, what's happening? I mean, he's not a bad player. He's a great player, but
he's a great player. And believe it or not, him getting a first place vote for All NBA, while egregious, is not as egregious as him getting a first place vote for Defensive Player of the Year. And so when you look through all of the voting this year, we keep seeing a first place vote for Sabonis for everything. And ladies and gentlemen, this isn't like what it was like 10 years ago where it's like, who voted for him? I guess we'll never know. Like, they released the names of all the voters and what they voted for every single award. We're going to find this guy. And we're going to find out. My guess is either he's a Sacramento beat writer, which I don't believe, or more likely a Lithuanian journalist of some sort trying to do some national pride type shit. That's your ass, buddy. I'm just calling it out right now because you can't get away with making a mockery of the vote and expect to keep voting.
Yeah. Well, they also impact contracts. Like Tyrese Halliburton made All-NBA. That was a big thing in his contract. He gets more money because of it. He made sure to play 65 games so that he could be eligible. This is a big deal. These are things that matter. Also, earlier this week, Wemby became the first rookie ever to make all defense first team. Here are all of his accolades from the season: Rookie of the Year, All Rookie First Team, NBA Blocks Leader, All Defensive First Team, Defensive Player of the Year runner-up. What's most impressive here, Amin?
All defensive team first team.
Yeah,
that's as a rookie that never happens because rookies, by and large, even the ones who are good at this, are incredibly lost on an NBA court. And now, my opinion is he was incredibly lost on an NBA court many a time as well. I think people are seduced by the gravity of leading the league in blocks, which is very impressive, obviously. And he's just so freakish looking that I think they got seduced by that, the voters did. I wouldn't put him on the first team all-defensive team. I just think that there were better options out there. I certainly don't think he should have been that high in Defensive Player of the Year award. Again, I thought the wrong guy is in third, and that was Bam Adebayo. He should have won it all. But more than anything, I think there's always like this subconscious clamor, I think, to be first to something. Victor Wembanyama is going to be great. That doesn't mean we have to declare him great right now. We can let him make his mistakes and do those things and get to that eventual spot where we expect him to be.
All right. Well, speaking of lists, we have a list here for everybody at home. It's a blind ranker, and we are going to rank events based on how likely they're to happen. 1 is most likely, 5 is least likely. The twist is that we haven't seen the things we will be ranking, and we have to agree on them. And our production staff is going to surprise us. What is the first thing?
That's wait, which it goes. All right, it's Rudy Gobert hits another turnaround J.
Oh, God.
After he hit that one against Denver in Game 7.
So we have to rank this, deciding how likely it is, but we haven't seen what the other things are. This, to me, I mean, if one is least likely.
Whatever the least likely thing is, I would say put an extra spot at 6 and, make that, because there's nothing that's going to be less likely than this.
I agree with you. Okay, that was easy.
All right.
Okay, so 5. What do we have next? Chuck
brings his ass to Minnesota for the parade. Again, I'm going
4?
4, yeah. Not likely.
Not likely.
Chuck's a fun guy. He's got to do. Like,
also, they have to get there. They have to have a parade for him to visit.
That too. That's also very likely.
Okay.
All right.
3.
Next up, Tyrese Halliburton wins Finals MVP.
Oh God, are we just gonna end up with like the least likely thing at number 1 because we've been too hasty?
We're going is plus 5,000 on DraftKings to win Finals MVP. Believe it or
3?
not, yeah, it's 3. It's 3. Okay. But I just want to say, believe it or not, even if I had the foresight of knowing what was coming, still Rudy Gobert is number 5 and Chuck is number 4.
Okay, the next one is Ant gets a Nas Reed tattoo. I say that's most likely. Let's put that at 1. I think Ant would probably do this no matter what happens.
No, get a 2. He's not getting another man's name tattooed on him that's not like a family member.
All right.
Like, as much as he loves his teammate.
Okay, let's see what 1 is, because if Luka goes to happy hour with the refs.
Absolutely. 1.
Number 1.
Look, this is shame on the producers. Shame on the producers. Because when you do blind ranker, the whole thing is it's got to be random. You can't start with the least likely thing and end up like a little bit more like, I know what you think, like, oh, Luka and the refs hate each other. No, man, when people see each other out and about, maybe not happy hour, but they'll get to a bar and they might walk in and they're all there. So this is poor. You know what, man? This is what I feel like I need to start producing. This is what you guys need to do next time we do blind ranker. You need to randomize it. Assign each one A, B, C, D, E. Go into the internet, say randomizer, these 5 letters, and then it'll pop out, and then you could do that.
I was going to say,
because
write
this
them
way
down
it's
on
just
a
too
piece
easy.
of paper, pull them out of a fishbowl. But you're right.
No.
There are things on the internet that do that for you now.
That could be flawed. Yeah, piece of paper flawed. I trust the internet. Internet of everything. By the way, Victor Wembanyama was looking for his rookie card. This is how big of a deal he is. He can't even find his own rookie card, Charlotte.
In a local San Antonio hobby shop trying to find his own. I don't get it. Can't someone just get that to him? Can't you call the rookie card people and be like, hey, can I have this?
Panini. Yeah, hey, Panini, can you print one more out? Make it one of 501 or however many they make. I don't know how cards go. I don't know.
Either.
Were you a baseball card person or a basketball card person growing up?
I was a baseball card person, but in the sense that like I would buy them at the 5 and dime and open them and then have no idea what to do with them.
How old are you? The 5 and dime. What are you from the 40s?
Yeah, we had one. They had a bunch of rubber balls. And
you also go to the sock hop? Did you share milkshakes with your best bow and straws on either side? With your hair in a ponytail and like that frilly skirt that comes out? And then you're wearing like
we had a sock
hop
hop in elementary school.
What's up? You did do a sock hop?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
So maybe I am from the 40s.
Are you from Pleasantville? Like what's going on?
What?
That's a movie. That's gonna do for Oddball. Arrivederci.
Well, for starters, you have to purify yourself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka.